need some sort of intro. Doesn't work. But I'm Jesse.
And I'm Eric. And we were just talking about, I think you could almost describe it as an issue of being nice, but not in the way that everybody thinks, oh yeah, that person is a nice person. More like the pushover kind of way and the problems that it leads to. Specifically when it comes to relationships, because obviously you're going to be dealing with other people and you know, that might take advantage of you if you're being nice in the not so positive way.
Yeah. Relationships are as you get older, you see different types of relationships, and you also see different types of things that they change over time. When I was in high school, my friends and I always joked that once one of us, kind of dates somebody, no bad blood, stay away from her or whatever, and that changes over the years because now I think I'm at the point in my life where if somebody, at this point even was married, one of my friends was married to somebody and it didn't work out. I realize it sounds kind of weird because I know like one or two friends that were married, and it didn't work out, they'd still be on the table. And then eventually it's, one of my friends got married and their spouse died, they're back on the table. But I'm not at that point yet. I don't know. As things, it was a weird...
That's not working. Okay. That is pretty weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd still abide by the code. There's enough people in the world that you're fine. It's not that's small fish tank.
Well, it's not like you're specifically going after the person, but don't erase them.
That makes you a rebound, though, doesn't it?
It depends.
And then you're starting a relationship on the basis of fragile emotions.
That's true, and we do have experience with relationships that have been started with death, and they haven't worked out very well.
Don't date somebody because you met them at the funeral and you bonded over it.
No, in general, bonding over death should be sad and not sexy. Not that it was.
If you're into that, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking more of the line of a lot of men, and this is the old saying, nice guys finish last, all this kind of stuff, where it's this idea that people who think almost as if I'm really nice to women, and I'm going to pick on men for this one because I think it's mostly their problem from how I've seen things in my life. If I'm really nice to women and if I act in this specific way, well, then the women are going to love me. Whoever in my life is going to love me because how could they not? There's nothing that, for them to really complain about. So I'm just going to, when they say certain things, I'm going to agree with them just to avoid trouble and conflict. And I'm going to put all this effort into helping them with their life. And I'm going to act like I care every second of the day and never, it sort of takes away your own personality. But at the end of it, it sort of creates this false expectation where you're basically going to be taken advantage of indefinitely because you always are not going to want to do the things that the person is now asking you to do, going to the places that they want you to go to and then seeing the things that they want you to see and all that.
Sometimes
that
twice.
Sort of jazz. Sometimes twice.
Yeah. That's true. I think relationships, in my experience, I've known quite a few people who have different types of relationships. I always think, and I've talked to a few people in this case, where relationships don't always seem healthy when they could be. Like you and Tila, it's different. I see you all the time, right? Within reason, I have an in and out of what makes you two click, sort of. There's a few things that I don't, and I'm kind of thankful in some cases. And then other times you may meet a friend or acquaintance's partner once or twice, and you may get a negative stereotype about them, or you may judge them, or you may even catch them on a bad day, and then your entire basis is built on that. Or whenever you see them, they're in a bad mood, but they could actually have something special because you don't spend a lot of time. It's weird. You can't base something from the outside. You can't judge a book by its cover.
Here's the thing about that, I would say. I know a few people right now that are in relationships where from the outside it seems like the most terrible thing in the world is happening. But this person swears that, behind closed doors or whatever, in whatever situation, the highs are so high that it's just, they couldn't live without the person. But it's this weird thing where once you do that, you then again have these extremely low points. Like you're on the fringes of I don't know, jumping off of a bridge with rocks in your backpack, and the next day after that, you're proposing, and you're trying to get engaged with this person, and you repeat the cycle over and over again. It's up and down, up and down, up and down.
When I was with Jessica, she's mentioned multiple times, it'd be amazing if she listened to this. Oh my God. But whenever we would fight, I would always say, because normally, I'd back down, say it's my fault, and in certain cases it was, given reason A or B, but I would always say, the issues that we have are here, but when we're good, we're really good. And when we're bad, we're really bad, but there's that fluctuation between good and bad. And
I don't feel like that exists in the ideal relationship anymore.
No.
I didn't have the experience. I've been in a similar situation, I would say, and I at the time thought maybe this is it. Maybe this is just what it's like to deal with another person on a continual basis. Until one day, just after that relationship had sort of crumbled apart and I had to start avoiding the person and just trying to put my life back together, you realize, no, it doesn't have to be that way. And you can, I had a lot of very casual short-term relationships with people for a while before finding a long one again. But no, it doesn't have to be that way. Definitely not.
I think it takes a special connection, and it's going to be a different type of connection for everybody. But like we mentioned before, the feelings that I have currently, again, things can change, but the feelings that I have currently are unlike any other relationship. And I realize that, some people may say that for every relationship, this is different. I actually feel something.
Yeah.
But when you have...
Hormones are pretty powerful.
Yeah. How long did, the honeymoon stage, how long, that's the thing. You can overlook a lot of things.
The initial parts of it, I would say, probably wear off about 3 months in.
Okay.
Well, I would say the first wave.
I'm at over double that, and I'm still, over the moon.
And then I would say that the next level of it, where you really start to get a deeper understanding of a person, is, at least for me, in my experience, it's usually well over the year mark. Not even well over, but just over the year mark, I would say. And you just start noticing things about the person you didn't otherwise notice. And of course, the things that you annoy you start to kick in, and you realize, wait a minute, why do they do things like that? Or why are they leaving this part of the house messy or doing whatever? But I would say that's more of a consequence of having to live with people. You're just going to have to put up with each other's quirks and all that kind of stuff. It's not malicious, or it's not incompatible behavior necessarily.
But the big difference with this current relationship, and not everybody's going to be like this, is it all comes down to showing a basic form of decency towards your partner. Absolutely. The fact that...
almost being able to read the intent is positive no matter what they're doing. You can understand where they're coming from.
Not citing specific examples, but I've never been in a situation where somebody said, sure, this is a specific example, so I will cite specific examples, but I've never been in a situation where somebody's like, you know what, tomorrow I gotta have my sleep because I gotta go back to my nighttime schedule, but that's okay, let's stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning rearranging your apartment. And we did, and I was happy, and I thanked her, and she said I would have much rather had it in a livable state so you can putter around in it and get what you need done, versus leaving it half done and then leaving, and then kind of leaving you to do the rest. It looks good and stuff like that. Or she likes visiting my family, whereas other relationships,
that's an interesting, that's a really big factor in that. There's so many times I've just not wanted to interact with somebody's family, or God, there's been situations where I like the family better than the person almost. I'd rather hang out with their family.
I've been in that.
Yeah. But at the current point in time, I really like hanging out with Tila's family. They're great, yeah.
They are great. Most of them, in general, are great.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever been a racial minority in the room?
Yes.
Have you? Yeah. Okay. Because the only time that I really didn't like meeting family was dated somebody of Indian descent, and we met her family a handful of times. Her parents liked me. Her dad was a photographer, so every time I'd come over, he'd buy me shit.
Nice.
Mostly magazines, like photography stuff, but he'd show me his lens, and like, that's nice.
It's cool being able to relate on that part of it.
But her extended family, grandparents, who I get it, are a little bit more hardcore traditional Indian.
Yeah.
At first, I wasn't introduced as her boyfriend, just a friend. And I found out because, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer. I own a fledgling photography, videography company, and I do baby photos. When she introduced me to other people, it was, and this is my boyfriend. What does he do? Well, he owns his own business. Because that whole artistic side
doesn't
of the business,
count for much.
It didn't account for much.
No.
So I didn't like that.
That's interesting. The only time it was like that was I was dating an Asian girl. She was from, I think, pretty much entire family on both sides. I think was from somewhere in South Korea, but their family seemed indifferent towards me. They didn't even really acknowledge my existence. Almost, it was strange. It wasn't that long term of a relationship, but it was enough that I met them a couple times, and it was different.
So how long term does a relationship have to go to meet the family a couple times?
In this case,
when did you meet them the first time, roughly?
Probably 2 weeks in, because it wasn't necessarily like, oh, you got to come meet my family. It was this person was a student, and their family just was there a lot, and they would cook for their daughter and all that stuff.
That's an interesting culture.
They took care of their kid. Oh my god!
Asian friends who had the same thing.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily cook, but every week bringing food.
Yep. Oh yeah, very well taken care of. Yeah. I don't think their family lived necessarily too far away, but yeah, definitely saw them. And they didn't have a car, so it's not like they could have made the trip themselves. So yeah, they were kind of in the position when their parents would come by, and not much of a reaction at all to me. I don't know what they would expect necessarily, if they would want her to find somebody who is of Korean descent or whatever, but...
Yeah, but you were in university at the time.
I was,
right? So
yes.
You were, at least on paper, on the right track to some potentially...
Earning potential, yeah, sure.
Earning potential, so that should have been fine. I think you basically, in their eyes, could have been as traditionally... Asian as possible, except white.
I would put myself on the high end of white academically, and she was on the low end of Asian, if you want to go with stereotypes. And then she probably got similar grades to me, but she did not try at all, and I don't know.
The low end of Asian.
Yeah, if you want to put up racial stereotypes about it. She had friends that were just like, also the types that would get like 99% on everything and just not try, and it's like, how do you do that?
What did you average?
In university?
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't remember. Enough to get honors. Enough to get an honors degree, which is good enough for me. But it wasn't crazy. It was probably in the high end of the 70s, which accounts for having like a 51 in organic chemistry and a couple classes that I just could not get my head around. So if you took those of it, maybe I'd be in the 80s somewhere. But yeah, it wasn't too bad.
So when you kind of pulling back to the relationship thing when you were in university, because I really only knew you in a constant basis for the last part of your education. I believe so.
Yeah, that would make sense. Probably just after my thesis project and all that.
How did you find dating in university? Like not necessarily the quantity but time balancing, because even now
easier by far.
Yeah.
Well, you have way more time. Not having a job means that the time when you're at home, the other work, not the lecture part of it, but the other work, you can do whatever you want with it. And if you want to study with somebody else and you can somewhat work together, then you get to see each other. It's a benefit of it, I would say. And your schedule is so flexible because lectures occur during a 6-hour window from like 7 in the morning until I don't know. I guess some classes would run a little bit later, but for the most part, maybe our labs would be later too, but 7 in the morning till like maybe 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's about it. So, Yeah, you're very easy to be flexible with your time and to make a relationship work, I would say. Not necessarily that any of them did really work during that time period, but towards the end, I guess it did. Because Tila was still working a day job and all that stuff, but it was easy enough to accommodate those hours because I was in school in the morning, and she was at work, and I lived close. I had a car, but still chose to bike and walk over all the time because it was and run. Yeah, I miss the physically active side of my life because I don't really do that stuff anymore. Just because my job is
physically active.
It definitely isn't the same though. Like I'm probably not gonna ever get myself fit doing the job. I probably won't be like lethargic and just gain a ton of weight and lose all my muscle doing it. But I will not be an athlete by any means by framing houses. It's a different kind of strength. You're very physically strong, I guess, at the core because you have to do just such a wide range of activities, but you don't look like you're not big necessarily just from doing that. Or maybe you could be. I probably just don't eat enough or something. No, it's almost a game of numbers too. Like being able to track the stats on my run of how fast I went somewhere or whatever. That was probably one of the most exhilarating parts about it. And you can like listen to music and all that. I don't even know what athletes did back in like the 50s and 60s. When they're training for the Olympics and stuff, and they didn't have like a tape player in their pockets at least. I don't boring as hell.
It would be
just to run around dirt country roads and have nothing else.
I think it would kind of be like one of those things where they didn't know they needed it.
No, you don't need it now either, but you know what a runner's high is?
I think so, but you can...
It's kind of good summary is just basically the most amazing sort of rush of endorphins. Yeah. I would say people compare it to an orgasm, and I would say, yeah, it's almost like it's a longer term thing than that, because you can get it to last for like probably a minute if you really make it work, at least in my case. But music, if you start running and you start hitting, your feet to the ground at a certain tempo of the sun, and everything lines up, and you're cresting over the hill, and you get some pickup speed, it's this weird thing. It usually happens to me about 6-7 kilometers into a run, where all of a sudden I am sprinting for like a minute straight, and there's nothing. I feel like my feet weigh nothing. It is probably one of the best, most pleasurable feelings I've ever felt as a human organism, and I miss that. But it's weird because even though it is so good, the motivation isn't there to go do it. Like you could think the effort required to masturbate, right, is low enough that people just do it every day.
Yep.
A lot of people do. The effort required to get to a runner's high is too much, even though it's better in my opinion than stuff like that. It's weird. I'm sure with some people it isn't enough a motivating factor because there's people that run a half marathon every day or something ridiculous like that. As long as time permits, people that are essentially runners. Kind of look up to Casey Neistat for that. In his mid-30s and could just destroy me on every aspect of running. Wish I could do that.
And vlogging.
I feel like the vlogging part is more knowledge and personality based, which maybe I could get to that point of being at least half as entertaining. But I don't know how to get to being as physically able as a person that much older than me without just doing it so often. And I don't know. He somehow has the time for it. So what's my excuse? I have no idea.
That's true. Now he time management, hardcore time management.
Yeah, probably one of the best people I can think of at time management.
Depending on how he works out, if he does like just running in the streets, it's a little bit different. Or if he goes to a gym.
No, he runs out in the street. Yeah.
Okay, so
anywhere,
anytime, because he's in New York, right? So,
yeah. Although he said, he's essentially, to paraphrase him, he runs until he doesn't have time to do it anymore, until he needs to be doing something else. He would just keep running if he didn't run at a time, which is how he feels about it. So
well, that's a good way to feel.
Yeah.
So
because some people go for I'm going to run 10 kilometers, or I'm going to do run for a certain amount of time, but he's just like, no, just run, and then the watch says I got to be somewhere.
That's neat.
Yeah.
I found one thing that has helped a lot, and it might have helped a lot more before the new iMac, is it used to be that when things were exporting, quite often that'd be a break. Like if I just done a big edit, that'd be a break. And it'd be however long the break was. But I figure if I have to go back to the video to say start transcoding it to be DVD or something like that, then technically that means I'm still working. So
yes, you should be as an artist. You should be paid, or what it is time on the clock if you are exporting things, because it's not time that you necessarily have to give up. It is what it is.
I have since changed that when things are exporting, I'm doing something related, whether it be bookkeeping or even things like blogging or going to the website and checking analytics, like making sure stuff like that is okay. That's something it's
work related. Yeah,
that's all related. And it's great, except now the export times are lower.
Yeah, faster computer means more productivity, that's for sure.
Yeah. So that's just kind of a neat thing.
I have a segue to something entirely different because we're talking about processing power. Have you tried VR in any way? Because we've talked about getting something to do with VR on the podcast.
Outside of the cheap headsets, no.
Okay, so and I'm sure everybody with the PlayStation's already done this, but I've got to experience the PlayStation virtual reality for the first time this weekend. Yeah, yesterday. It is amazing. Like, and to put this in context, I don't remember what it's called, but it's a horror game where it's in a carnival, there's clowns and stuff. Okay. It's just a shooting game. Really, the only button you need in the game is a trigger button, and you can reload with the wand or whatever it is. And I played the simulator game where it's like job simulator or like mechanic simulator or chef simulator, whatever.
That's all.
Those are good. And I played Gran Turismo, the new Gran Turismo game with the VR headset.
How was that?
Starting with the bad. The Gran Turismo was awful. It's a Gran Turismo game. In my opinion, none of them live up to Gran Turismo 5 yet for a variety of reasons, just the cars that you could use and all that stuff. But here, the biggest problem with it is they down-res it so far that it is, in my opinion, unplayable. It is ugly to look at.
Why would it be down-res then?
I don't know. They got it to run at 120 FPS, which is great. It looks very smooth. The lighting effects, the textures, that you can tell that they look good, but it's so blurry. Like, it is below 40. It is probably 360p equivalent. You're watching a 360p YouTube video, but it's your entire face. So it's the equivalent of whatever, a 40-inch screen or something. It looks absolutely disgusting.
Did you read up on it at all? Sure, it wasn't a setting. Is it that the way it is?
I didn't read up on it, but I don't think my brother himself he didn't like it, and he's been playing the game for a while himself and had the VR headset for a while. So if there was a way around it, I think he would have found it. But putting that aside, because that was just a really poor implementation, playing the simulator games and the shooting game, I'm willing to say that it is, you could get lost in that kind of world, as it is already. If you could make a game that's diverse enough and stimulating enough, Grand Theft Auto, but maybe even with more stuff to do because it's virtual reality, you can do more things in it. I could probably do that all day.
The Sims 5, which we talked about before.
Yep, more it's just real life. Here's the thing: they thought it would be funny because they've been making everybody do this. They said when you play the shooting clown game, whatever, you got to stand up, you can't sit down. So I was like, okay. And there's roller coasters because you're on like a mine cart for a lot of this, and you're just scrolling through, and it's a shooter, so you got two guns that you can use independently, which is also amazing because there's this guy there and this guy there, you could, to the side.
I feel bad. Could you go like this?
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, absolutely, anything like that, and you can even look down at your feet or whatever, anything you want to do. But going on that roller coaster, I swear it is probably 80% of being on a real roller coaster, the feeling and everything. You go over the top of a hill or like a crest or something like that, it feels like being on a roller coaster. Your brain cannot tell the difference. It is amazing. Of course, there's no physical movement, so that's the part you're missing out on, but it feels like there is. And you almost want, if you were just to do that nonstop for about half an hour, I guarantee you'd fall over. I had to really try not to fall on my ass while I was doing this. It was a lot of fun.
Space-wise, standard size living room, like how much?
It was in a rec room in a basement. I probably had about 6 feet by 6 feet to roam around in, which doesn't matter for the shooting game, but the simulator game, it is amazing how well it tracks you. Like there's one where you're a mechanic or whatever, and you can fix cars or whatever. You can like go from standing in front of a car, like engine open, all that, to you turn the car around on the lift. You can keep walking forward and get into the car. Like turn sideways, get into the car, or like you could turn around, you could walk up to the desk behind you. Like there's a huge range of movement in the game, and it physically has you constantly reaching down, like underneath where your kneecaps are, because there's different controls. You gotta reach up, like you were everywhere, and it's so quick and responsive. Like there's objects you can throw or whatever. So let's just say you grab with the triggers, which feels pretty natural to be honest. But you go grab something, you would just throw it right away, just grab, throw. It's just an immensely responsive system, and this is on the PlayStation. I've never even tried the HTC Vive, which, from what I know, is significantly better.
Or Oculus Rift.
Yeah, I don't know about Oculus Rift. I don't know much about it. Most people have trashed it at this point, but a PC implemented system could be so much better in terms of resolution and just the raw computing power that a PC has, even if the games aren't as good or if they're better. I don't really know.
Well, in relation to that, I've been hooing and hawing. I'm gonna upgrade to an Xbox One. There's enough games out that I'd like to try that I'm going to get an Xbox One, but they've divvied up their lineup. It used to be, at one point there was just an Xbox, right?
Yeah.
You could get maybe a
different hard drive loads, yeah.
And then Xbox 360 came out, but then they came out with 360 Slim, then came out with
which didn't really have any more computing power.
Yeah.
They were all basically retrofitted to work the same way as the original.
And then they had the Xbox One.
Yes.
And then eventually out came the Xbox One S,
yes.
which was
extra computing power,
smaller build and whatnot. And then they came out with the Xbox One X, which was again more extra computing power built around the capabilities that one day you will be able to integrate it with console virtual reality.
Yes.
So I'm torn because I have absolutely no interest in investing in virtual reality, but I don't want to miss a boat. I don't want to buy a 1S now and then find out, next year Grand Theft Auto 6 is all VR.
I don't know. I disagree with so many people, but the only way around this problem, just buy a PC. Just buy a gaming PC.
Yeah.
Right? And you have a Mac, so of course you don't want to do that, but it's compatible with everything. Forward.
I had briefly thought about it.
Yeah, you did when you're asking me to make a Hackintosh, basically.
Well, no, even as of the past week and a half,
okay.
I got thinking I need to do something at some point because now there's actually things that I'd like to try that I'm missing out on. And I got thinking I could do the all-in-one, which normally for me is my go-to way of doing things.
I don't recommend it because you already have a Mac, which is...
No, I mean all-in-one in the case of an Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Like it's just... what you see is what you get.
Yeah, but then the limitations exist. Somebody that, if you want to be more tech savvy and you want to be more explorative into things that are cutting edge, I'm sorry, but PC is still the way to do that as far as gaming goes and like these peripherals.
But I've also never been on the cutting edge of most things. I prefer to look like I'm not a big... I knew people, Staples or Best Buy. One of the two were doing a big virtual reality demo when it might have been a PlayStation virtual reality came out. I can't remember which. They said, come in, you play the demo and whatnot. And so many people were like, have you went yet? No, I haven't. Maybe I should have. But I don't know. I've never had the need to be on the cutting edge of everything.
Doesn't it maybe interest you that what you could push these technologies to the limit for like your own personal reasons? Like, let's just say we make interactive wedding videos where we integrate
which we've talked
virtual
about.
reality or something crazy. Of course, and I don't think it works in the simplest forms that we talked about, but maybe we could come up with a way that it works.
Okay.
It'd be cool to have the software and the hardware that we could develop stuff.
Right. Now, and you're absolutely right, and there's a good segue there. I saw a commercial for Microsoft, and it was this guy who was doing scans of a old, looked like a temple, like in the...
For just a model of the 3D space?
like a full 3D like you did with your program.
Agisoft.
But he had drones flying. He had cameras on like a 30-foot pole, and he was walking around taking pictures and whatnot. And he was just saying that he's been able to, not in real time, but actually do it a lot quicker because of his Microsoft stuff. And they showed the technology, and I'm sure it was a rendering, but it was just neat to watch the photos all come in and link, and it just slowly built this tower up and whatnot. So very, very neat, which I bring up because
could 3D model a film set, basically.
Yeah, we've talked about that, and as cameras get more, more high tech and high quality, at one point, green screen is going to be pointless. People saying it's done on a green screen is pointless because yes, it's done on a green screen, but they didn't digitally. I mean, I guess they did digitally create the background, but they're not creating it from scratch. It's actually pictures representing the background. But then some people would argue, why not just fucking go to the
money, because money, you could license it out for multiple uses.
It's true.
You could just go to a place and record it from every different angle for like a period of 2 months, and now you have 2 months worth of footage from this place, and people could license out. I want to use the 2 hours in this scene, and I'm going to use that in my movie.
That's it for places like New York where it's gargantuan to get a film permit and then also close off a street and whatnot. You
do it once for however long you need or whatever, and now you have footage that you can use in all these different movies.
Seems like a new area for the Adobe stock images and stuff like that.
3D stock cinematography. Yeah, with all these multiple camera angles that you can just move about in this video landscape.
Kind of a neat idea.
I'm sure it exists, and there's probably people that are way smarter than us already working on a way to make that happen.
Now, going back to the Xbox stock, because there's two different ways to look at it. You can either buy. There's the cost, right?
Yeah.
What type of gaming computer can I get for $329?
Nothing.
Exactly. I can get an Xbox One S.
You can
for $329.
Yeah.
Right? No issue with it. It does essentially what I want it to do, and it plays Blu-rays. Yippee. Right? I could spend a ton more, and one day I probably will. But you say virtual reality has in your case at home using PlayStation, you feel like you can be immersed. So maybe if we finally do get to go to the VR place and we too can get immersed in that, maybe
I hope they use a system like HTC Vive or something.
I was wondering, I got a friend, and he lives in Tilsonburg.
Okay.
The virtual reality hotspot.
Is it now?
No. So our friend lives in Tilsonburg, and he works for a company called VR Quest. Okay. And I haven't done a ton of research on them, only because he completely pissed me off by trying to sell me on a franchise for this. So
he wanted you to buy a franchise
for VR Quest.
Okay.
And from what I can tell, it's a in between the low end shit, like you can get goggles for your phone, and I'd say the higher end, not even high end like PlayStation, like it's the weird in between where you don't need a phone.
There's like $130 headsets. I don't know anything about those.
And that's what they're pushing.
Yeah.
And they're in a kiosk in the Tilsonburg Mall, again, VR hotspot. And
but a lot of people hang out at the mall though in Tilsonburg, relative to anywhere else in town.
Sure, a lot of people. It's great. I don't think 75-year-olds are interested in VR. Probably scare them, really.
That'd be fun.
But no, that annoys me. But I think at some point the investment will be there. I just need a reason to have my mind blown, or I need to have my mind blown to inspire myself. I also don't.
It's interesting, the idea to buy into a franchise, because it would be sort of getting in early. I mean, there's got to be some place that's going to take off. Like, what's the name of the
I'm just gonna, you know what?
VR?
We've done this before. Let's do we did it with the iPad videographers. Let's take a look at vrquest.ca.
VR Quest. Okay.
And you know what? You want new technology? I can work. Well, it's not new technology, but I'm gonna record my screen because I can do that.
Yeah.
And we'll put it on.
Okay,
screen.
so we're gonna have something for you to look at.
Yeah.
In the time being, there's a VR place near where you live-ish.
Yes.
What's the one called?
Control V.
Control V. What if something like Control V did take off and you did want to buy a franchise in it?
That is a franchise.
Yeah, it is already. Yeah.
It's either a franchise or all their stores are run by corporate.
What's like the up cost on such a small startup idea? Yeah.
And the space and.
But like, what's the brand charging you to even exist, kind of thing, like the. Because if you rent out the space and you buy the technology, what's left? What do the company take away from you at the end of the day? Because I don't know how much income you could even draw really to back that up.
You know what? The company itself is probably. I'm gonna also put a do not disturb on my phone.
It's a good idea, so that your notifications do not come up in the middle
Nobody
of the
sees
screen.
my massive amount of Twitter updates. Okay, VR Quest. I'm assuming, and this isn't a negative assumption, this is just what I would assume based on the way other franchises work. The company or the franchisees who deal with Control V, which at least has 3 locations that I know.
Okay, so that's not bad.
They can only buy their technology, their virtual reality, from head office.
Okay. Because you want everybody on the same page, same experience.
So that means the head office must have a deal with whoever
Yeah.
to get them in at wholesale, and head office profits from the sale of the equipment, just like McDonald's profits off of the sale of the new milkshake machines
or
and
the
stuff like
stove,
that.
Yeah, the grill or whatever.
So that's one way. The other way that they'd be making money is there's a chance that like they're licensing the types of games perhaps.
But I don't think that they would have anything to do with the games necessarily being created for VR, no.
No. But I don't know if they have a controlled system where the franchisees have to buy into, because
it's almost an aesthetic that you would want. You would just want like the sign out front that people could recognize, like a brand identity, and maybe like the same interior designs. You get the same feel between them, and the technology being the same makes this makes quite a bit of sense. But I would say you almost don't want to succumb to whoever's the lowest bidder for your technology. You don't want the cheap stuff, or someone's like, I'll sell 40 units of this VR equipment for the lowest amount of price possible, because it's
true,
could negatively affect the experience of the customers.
And then after all is said and done, all the equipment's purchased, the lease is leased. I'm sure the company, they probably pay franchise fees every year.
Yeah,
if they're very not forceful, but if they're on the strict end of franchise, it could be every year, it could be every 3 years. I'd say for something new, it's probably every year. And then they would take their standard monthly take of the profit, which...
Probably not a lot right now, but maybe in the future.
But
it's almost like a rebirth of arcades if you think about it, because it's these systems that are prohibitively expensive, such that not everybody's going to have one in their home or even think about getting one, because there's a bit of setup involved and it's not the most user-friendly experience, minus stuff like the PlayStation and such. But it basically is a rebirth of people going out to do their gaming, sort of paying another person, a small amount of money to use their expensive systems and expensive setups.
It's true.
Which I bet is going to end the same way that the arcade era did.
And everybody's just going to...
have their at-home systems.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's a great thing, really, if you want to sit at home and be immersed in a virtual world on your own time and for your own initial startup cost with no fees at a later point in time.
You know how a lot of people that can't have, taking it back to relationships, can't have healthy relationships. They'll just
get virtual girlfriend, yeah.
Animated Asian ladies. I've watched
Screw
those
that.
videos.
Date animated, I don't know, Japanese anime characters. Or further than that, date furries. What is it?
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You could date a Pokemon if you wanted.
You could.
You could. Maybe that's Nintendo's next move.
That'd be weird.
No, Nintendo wouldn't do that. It's gotta be child friendly.
Probably. Okay. So VR Quest. VR Quest.
Yeah.
A division of 3D VR Designs. So apparently I was wrong. This is a business. So
Well, $12 for 15 minutes of play.
they're in a kiosk in the Hilsenberg Mall that only has like one, maybe two spots to play.
That's pretty expensive.
So
$12 for 15 minutes?
Their sales pitch for $12 for 15 minutes.
An arcade machine's like $3 for 15 minutes.
Exactly. Play by yourself. It'd be better if it said play with yourself. Or share a station with friends. For every booking, we offer 5 minutes of training on how... Is it included, or... so this is actually 20 minutes?
You have to book this? You have to like talk to
guess.
somebody at the kiosk?
You know what we should do? We should go to the good VR place, then we should see if we can
Get
shoot
into
something here.
Yeah.
And do a comparison on how to use the equipment. These videos don't last very long. I am not happy about this Apple video screen. I'll do something about it. Don't worry. They'll see it. Anyways, it stopped recording. Maybe it has a 30-second record limit.
Okay, so what are the details we want to take away from this place, really, though?
Move freely. Oh. If that is what they do.
Okay, so it looks like they have a pad where you would stand inside. It's going to hold, your waist approximately, and you're going to be able to step in place, and probably your feet are going to slide. Okay. So that's something else that no in-home VR experience really does. And I'm sure there's people that have, jerry-rigged something themselves. Franchising. There's a franchising tab on the website.
Do you know what there's not? There's not a promo video or anything like that. Like, if I just happen to find myself...
Maybe you've been looking at this all wrong. Maybe we need to make that promo video.
Maybe
it's a DH Media project.
Maybe, let's see, frequently asked questions.
Maybe we do need to get behind this. Just not in a franchise.
Visa, MasterCard, Cash. Will I be running into the wall? Oh, they use HTC Vive.
Oh, okay. So
using HTC's Chaperone guidance system. So they might not be the... I don't know. It doesn't say specifically what they're using.
Chaperone guidance system. That's an interesting way
the HTC Vive headset fits with most regular size glasses.
So So they're using basically the best, widely available consumer VR equipment. So that's a good start.
Okay, then they must have changed, because when this friend has been talking about this friend has been talking about this franchise model for about a year.
Yeah.
And I think at the beginning,
I guess a lot can change in a year.
I think at the beginning it wasn't as good, but I will tell you something. The franchise model is not working for them. Because I went to the... did I go to franchising or did I go to Contact?
What if the parent company collapses and we can just buy out all their equipment at discount prices and start our own franchise?
That'd be interesting.
Franchisement.
Okay. It's been a year in a growing industry. Okay? Virtual reality is kind of stagnated, but it's growing.
Yeah.
How many franchises are out there? How many will include...
A VR Quest?
Of VR, VR Quest. So how many kiosks in malls?
Yeah, I can think of there's a lot of malls around.
Okay. So
I wouldn't put it past in Ontario, maybe there being 20 malls that have adopted this.
Okay. Is that your final answer?
Sure. I'm just a shot in the dark. I've never seen this myself, so maybe it's less, maybe it's more.
Everybody comment on YouTube right now. Comment?
Thank you for the one person that commented.
Good. I feel like Dora. Actual retail price without going over. One.
Okay. So it's nothing.
In Tilsonburg.
Yeah. In the place where nothing else is happening.
So, also, they're open Monday to Friday. Just
Friday.
throwing that out there.
Okay. So how about this, a different approach? We should look for malls that have taken on this technology or just basically these locations around Ontario in general, not just small kiosks, but where can you go to pay for a VR experience? Because I think my number 20 might be more applicable to just in general, people who have adopted this early technology. It's got to be arcades that have it. Out of the few arcades that are left.
Yeah. Arcades would most likely, in some capacity, have upgraded, at least to have some sort of virtual reality capabilities. They may still have a shell or a proprietary shell, but you may be able to put on goggles and look around. I think that arcades, because of how they've been in the past, they probably don't want to advertise the vibes all that much or anything like that, because it'd just be another reason to not go to an arcade.
It's true, but almost if you could have proprietary software like certain games licensed, like for instance, let's just say Nintendo started making games for VR. I can think of even the most simple basic games. For some reason, one that pops in my head is the old Pokemon Snap game, the one you're a photographer and you take pictures of Pokemon on a safari hunt. Being able to look around with your head would change that game entirely. It would make things work a lot better, I think. It's just all these old software, all these old games that already exist would be so much better in VR in some cases, I would say. Mostly things that are first person, of course, but it's a unique perspective on things that already exist.
So I think, we don't have too many followers, but as we're saying, VR Quest, this wasn't bashing you. You're a brand new business until
and you got good equipment now, so I think it'd be fun.
DH
probably
Media
fun.
Will be contacting you.
If there's something there, I'd like to check out what they got.
I feel like if they don't, okay, constructive criticism. The website
needs
is
promotion.
okay,
needs promotional videos.
but I need a photo of somebody wearing a Vive, or
which
I need a promo video.
Happens to be what we're professionals at. So,
Yes.
So maybe we're the right people for that job.
And I have an in.
You know what's funny? A lot of people start talking about how they post, photographers especially started talking about how they would do YouTube videos of like photography tutorials or whatever, and they're showing their work online in the pursuit that they think they might get more customers, and then they find out they don't. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe us pitching ourselves to businesses that probably could use our help probably isn't going to get us more customers. It'd be cool if it did. What if it's the opposite?
Well, so far out of the official pitches that we've done,
Yeah.
we are, if you count the one other business that really hasn't paid us, but we've done a lot of work for them, we're 2 for 2.
2 for 2.
Right?
Yeah.
We've added, 3 for 3, technically, because we had the Toy Trove.
Yep.
Sure. Mugs and Meeples, and Louisa's Sweet Retreat.
That's going to be,
Yeah. And that's a big one.
Yes.
So, maybe
we're dealing with
not.
2 businesses one that takes in quite a bit of money, I guess. One that I don't know if is going to survive, and I hope it does. And one that takes in a lot of money. And there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
It's a real business. It's not like artist business.
No.
It's fantastic.
If this business belonged to a white guy and the white guy was dating an Indian woman, the Indian woman would say he's a successful business owner and he's not a photographer.
That's what you need in life.
Yeah.
It's that validation.
Yeah. Blah. Yeah, so wonderful. This went the total opposite way I thought it was going to.
Yeah, there's so many things that we could have talked about. But I think it's been fun.
It has been. Relationships. We all got them. We all want them.
And most of us are doing them wrong.
Yes.
Kind
what
of.
do we do about it?
We can all be better people.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Or
Or know that you're being taken advantage of and don't put up with it.
The right word at the right time. Like, hey, give me a little hug. That's the difference between lightning and,
It sounds like you're quoting some kind of movie or something.
I am.
Yeah.
But, no, we are, relationships are kind of a learning experience because you're dealing with, especially younger people. I am 100% different than the person that I was when I was 21.
Oh, I agree. And I'm only 23, so 2 years makes a difference.
Makes a big difference. And the fact that there are people that have been dating somebody since high school and now they're married and
they have not seen what's out there.
They haven't seen what's out there, but
I hope it works, but damn, that's a risky move.
If you've been dating somebody since you were 16,
you might just be stuck in a loop, but maybe it works. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting that way. So don't settle.
No.
And it is okay to be single, even though that sometimes it's hard to swallow that.
That's what Tinder's for, just to have random hookups and feel okay for a bit and then shitty afterwards and keep doing that for a while until you find the right person.
Sure. If you can get the hookups, go for them. If you get called a troll, you get called a troll. Or if somebody's like, there's no way you're 25. There's no way you're 25. It's just hurtful. It's not even sexy. Like, at least say hi. You're too old. Like, I didn't even say hi to you. Why are you picking on me?
Wait, didn't they match you if they're on Tinder?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean... So they matched me.
What is that?
And then... Like,
hypocrites.
Hypocrites.
Bitches. On that note, I think it's been a good podcast.
I gotta go unpack. I have some
You gotta
ideas.
go unpack an apartment. Talk about them afterwards.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.
See you. No, that's bad. That's like a Jared Poland thing. Until next
See ya.
time.
No.
Jesse Dahlster. No. Have a good night.